And welcome today to Flower Moon Rising, episode 12, in John's Eclectic Photo Story Time Adventure. The Flower Moon. John brushed the last bit of coffee from his lips, the bitter warmth fading on his tongue. The empty cup clinked softly as he placed it in the car's cup holder. A familiar ritual before his photo excursions. Afternoon sun filtered through thin clouds, casting a soft golden hue across the gravel trail ahead. It was May, the month of the flower moon, and John had planned this outing for weeks. With his camera slung over his shoulder and a light pack on his back, he stepped onto the path. The gravel crunched under his boots, the steady rhythm of footfalls echoing faintly through the corridor of spring green trees that lined both sides of the road. The scent of warm earth and the wild blossoms filled the air, stirred gently by the breeze. The trail twisted gently left and around the bend. John noticed a gap in an old wooden fence, its weathered slats bowing with age. Beyond it stretched a field, alive with texture and color, rolling slightly downhill toward a distant shimmer that he knew was the lake. Something instinctual urged him through the break in the fence, a gut feeling honed from years behind the lens. He had not gone far before he dropped to one knee beside a flower that caught his eye. Petals tipped in yellow, surrounding a bright orange center like a little sun blooming from the earth. He adjusted his lens, angling to catch the golden light just so, framing the delicate lines of the yellow daisy-like bloom. Further into the field, the landscape grew more untamed. A low cactus caught his attention, its budding thorns like a natural sculpture, tiny but fierce. He got in close, capturing the intricacy of nature's armor. The field burst into color as he wandered further. A sudden patch of flowers with purple-blue petals, each with a bright yellow center, like a painted eye staring skyward. Only a few steps beyond that were soft, pale blossoms that resembled baby's breath, their frailty dancing with the breeze. He paused, marveling at the contrast between delicacy and resilience. John's meandering path took him deeper through the field. Nestled in a packet of taller grass, a flower with 6 purple petals stood proudly, regal in its simplicity. He took a quiet moment there, framing it with the blurred suggestions of the lake in the background. A few steps later, something odd gleamed from a stem ahead. As he approached, he found a small budding flower crowned with a glass bottle, perhaps placed there long ago, forgotten by a hiker, or caught in the limbs of a winter storm. It was strange and oddly poetic, the wild calming the man made. The next cactus he encountered bore a bright orange flower, wide open and vibrant against the thorny green. A tiny insect, shimmering in green, balanced delicately on one of the petals, motionless for the perfect shot. Nearby, another cactus held a bright yellow bloom, while a third one had a budding orange flower just beginning to unfurl. He walked slowly now, time melting away with each step and shutter click. Nearing the water's edge, he paused in front of a unique bloom, what he called a pistil-type flower, with flame torch yellow and burnt orange petals flaring like an explosion of color. It stood defiant, as though challenging the serenity around it. John finally reached the trail's end, where it seemed to dissolve into the lake. The narrow path disappeared beneath shallow waters, as if inviting him to step into the lake itself. He stopped and turned, capturing a shot of the path as it faded into the water's reflective surface. Then he stepped forward, wading about a foot deep, careful with his gear. He turned his camera back toward the trail he had just taken, documenting the full journey. The lake was still, reflecting the shifting hues of the pre-sunset sky. The clouds to the east had thickened, casting shadows over his hopes. He raised his camera and took a test photo. Muted, slightly flat, worry crept in. He set up both his cameras in the shallow, low tripods, just steady enough to withstand the light lapping of waves, both facing east, and then he waited. Time passed slowly as dusk deepened. The western sky became a tapestry of oranges and pinks, and then, as night settled, the first hint of white emerged from behind the clouds on the eastern horizon. The flower moon had risen. It rose slowly, a glowing disk casting a shimmering path of white across the lake's surface straight towards where John stood. The clouds parted just enough, and John stood frozen, momentarily lost in the light. He felt small, reverent, part of something ancient and celestial. His camera clicked gently, one shot, then another, frame after frame of the moon ascending. At one point, the moon hovered perfectly between the branches of a long dead tree that jetted from the lake like skeletal fingers reaching for the sky. He captured the moment, breath caught in his chest. Later still, his final photo was composed. 3 lifeless trees standing like sentinels, the moon suspended above them. A starburst halo formed around the lunar disk, and the stars had begun to sparkle across the heavens in brilliant constellations. John sat back, legs wet and cold, the night silent except for the distant hum of frogs and the whisper of wind. He knew he had captured something rare, not just the image of the flower moon, but the quiet beauty of the journey it had called him on. As he packed up his gear, the moon still glowed high and steady, a promise in the sky, and he smiled. Tomorrow, there would be editing and maybe coffee again, but tonight, there was only this moment, this peace, and the soft glow of the flower moon lighting the path home. And thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this episode of The Flower Moon Rising, please join us for episode 13, The Duck Pond. Thank you. And presented here are several screenshots of images used in this video with the supporting camera and lens data to prove up that these are not AI-generated images. Thank you. And thank you again for watching The Flower Moon Rising. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing and hit that like button. Thank you.